Next item here, I guess there's never any shortage of fraud going on, but I guess there's kind of a new little twist that at least it's relatively new to me, John. What can you tell us?
Well, right. So the guys over at TrustedSec have put out a blog posting here about a large-scale cyber wire fraud scam that's been going on. So this is kind of us letting other people know, hey, look out for this, especially affecting lots of large companies in the United States. And what they're doing is they will do a little research to figure out what third-party vendors or partners that company that they're targeting might have, maybe contractors or whatnot, or other types of vendors that they might deal with. And they'll try to compromise that company to get an email account over at the accounts payable department over at that third-party vendor. And then they'll start spoofing an email to that victim saying, hey, we need a credit for this particular, invoice, or you misbilled, we need a chargeback, et cetera, kind of thing here. So if they can trick the users into doing that, they can get the wire fraud, get them to wire the money to a bank account of theirs. Now, they're really aggressive in this. They will, they're very convincing. They'll spoof an email from that third-party vendor, but then if it even looks questionable, they're getting, not the right response, they'll spoof emails from inside the company saying to the accounts payable department inside that company saying, hey, you guys really need to take action on this credit, to try to coerce them. They'll also use the phone to cold call the people at the accounts payable department and say, hey, and they're also no accent. They don't sound like they, your typical social engineering. So they're pretty articulate. In any event, so that's kind of the crux of the wire fraud scam. And they've seen anywhere from $50,000 to $1 million going out of certain companies, not necessarily in one transaction, but over the time that this has been going on. I'm not quite sure if they say how long it's been going on, but something that you want to be aware of from what they've looked at. And I'm sure law enforcement's been involved in this activity. Most of the money is being wired to banks over in China, but not exclusively. And I don't know if there's any connection there or not. So, the long and the short, I would say companies should be aware of this. They should notify, do some awareness and education around this possible scam with their accounts payable teams and other financial departments. You also, want to make sure if you do become a victim, get in touch with law enforcement to let them know that this has happened. And in terms of just transactions in general that you're having from this point forward, or maybe even a little retrospectively, look and verify all of your transactions that you had with your vendors to make sure that this isn't happening or that it has happened in the past.
So this sounds like really an authorization type thing. That correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like they're using email that's actually from within the companies that of the vendors in this case, or perhaps even the victim company. Is that right?
So they do, but if they can't, there are cases where they will try to compromise a third-party partner that you have. If they can't do that, they'll actually register a domain that looks very similar to that company, and then they'll start spoofing email or sending email from that fake domain, trying to purport that they are in fact from that vendor. Yeah.
So it kind of leads toward, in the past, I think we've taken email as kind of as a fairly authentic form of communications. It's kind of ridiculous to even think that, considering all the spamming and spoofing that's going on. But in the context of doing payment authorizations, that sort of thing, we really should be thinking about a stronger form of security around it. I know a lot of organizations, we've kind of struggled with using S-MIME, partly because it's been kind of clunky and you run into a lot of troubles with certificates and managing books and things like that. There are some web-based services. I know that we use Voltage, for example, that are helpful. But looking for things to help make sure who you're talking with, have some better controls around that. It sounds like if they've compromised internal machines, you could potentially subvert some of the mechanisms around that, but at least it's going to give you an extra level of measure of protection against this type of thing, right?
Sometimes the best thing is just to have a phone number on record with that vendor that you always communicate with their accounts payable. You get any kind of transactions, just give them a call. Write to a number that you already know, not one that you received in an email from the fraudster. but you know, something that you've already pre-established, and give them a
much
call
more
to
difficult
verify.
to spoof a personal relationship. And
Right. Right.
so, good point.